Hello everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to ChasingCinema.com. This is not typically how we do our reviews. I'm sure if you've ever seen one before, but I just walked out of Suspiria. I'm in the back part of AMC Town Square, and I needed to talk about it right away. I didn't want to have to go home and set up and everything because I am so blown away about the experience that I just had. First off, I was the only person in the theater watching this remake of Suspiria by myself, and it had to be one of the most eerie, scary, but compelling movie-going experiences I've ever had. So let me tell you right off the bat. So here, that kind of matters because if I didn't have that experience, I don't know if I would have enjoyed the movie as much as I did. So hopefully we don't get interrupted, but I'm going to do my best to kind of talk about this movie because I am just so blown away by it. From the director of Call Me By Your Name, Luca, Guadagnino? I'm probably butchering that name, but he brought us Call Me By Your Name last year, a movie that I enjoyed. Wasn't in my top 10. I didn't think it was, the greatest movie that people were claiming it to be, but it was a really great movie. Remakes the 1970 classic Suspiria. Now, Suspiria is known for its atmosphere, its color, claimed to be one of the better horror films to ever be made. And I will admit, I have not seen the original Suspiria. So I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this review are already discounting my opinion, but hold on, just hear me out. This remake, I thought, explored one of the most creepy, eerie, yet enticing and invigorating atmospheres that I've ever seen on screen. Dakota Johnson, is so good in this movie. Here, let me break it down. Before I get too detailed. I don't want to go on too long because, I'm in a stairwell right now, 2 a.m. Suspiria works because it has developed characters, an insanely great atmosphere, dance choreography that even if you're a person who has no idea about dance, can be blown away by. Great, compelling music, wonderful performances. It's a horror film that I know a lot of people probably aren't going to get a chance to see as far as general audiences. I know people who love the original are going to come out to see it, and I know that some kids will hear about it and say, oh, I want to go see it, or maybe even Dakota Johnson fans. But this movie was such an experience that I'm walking out of this theater telling you that it's probably going to be in my top 10. I was so just compelled by what I was watching on screen. Tilda Swinton, great in this movie. Dakota Johnson, so good and believable. There's a developed plot here. There's a lot of themes about, the matriarchy, the relationship between mother and daughter. There's, a constant reference about World War II and the Nazis in Germany. This movie takes place in Berlin. There's just so much going on. And I could tell you, even sitting through this 2.5-hour movie by myself, I could do it again right now. I think there was just so much to absorb. And I was just taking it in like nobody's business. I was just enthralled. And, I think it really falls... there's a lot of script here, right? There's a lot of things to cover. But there are these moments when you think you wouldn't be interested in, maybe, like some dance sequences or these very small, intimate moments between Dakota Johnson and Tilda Swinton. I'm not saying you wouldn't be interested, but maybe you don't think would be as compelling as they are. Now, I'm not a dance guy. I don't know much about dance, right? I'm quite ignorant on the art. But I could not take my eyes off the performances here. And through that, the music, and these just insanely disturbing images, this crazy imagery, that is creepy and eerie and disturbing that really kind of hit me in my core. I'm so in. And then we get to one of the most explosive, over the top, wild, like insanely, like not mastermind, but like crazy, like I was afraid that someone was going to walk into the theater and see me watching what I was watching. That's how crazy it was. And even though I'm saying it's over the top, I loved every minute of it. I was like, and let me tell you, while I don't think the movie is absolutely perfect, it was one of the best movie experiences I've ever had, like in a long, long, long time. The fact that I was alone made this movie feel so much more terrifying than I think I would have if I would have been with an audience. I'm sure the audience probably would have affected my mood because the quiet that I had to sit with, the no sound of popcorn, the no sodas, no one talking, no one moving, the complete silence, and then being just so encapsulated in this movie made it just such a great experience. And you know what? And it wasn't just the experience. I'm telling you, Dakota Johnson really is able to communicate this change. And, when we first meet her, she is shy, reserved, and afraid to step loudly. Not literally, but in the sense of just walks on her tiptoes. And then she has this change where this sexual, determined, driven, yet untrustworthy. Something's going on there. And the more you watch it, the more you just get captivated by her eyes and this idea that there's something more there that is happening. Of course, this is through through her performances and through her interactions with Tilda Swinton. And I'm trying to do my best not to spoil it, because if you've never seen Suspiria or you don't know what it's about, don't read about it. Even if it's this one, don't read about this one, don't read about the old one. Just go in blind, because I'm telling you, that's going to be the most rewarding experience you can imagine. The more you know, I think the less of effect it'll have on you. Anyway, again, it's like 2 a.m, and I'm just so blown away by this movie. I probably could go on, but for viewers' sake and for the sake of the fact that I want to get out of this stairwell, I'm going to leave it at that. Let me tell you guys, Suspiria, one of my favorite movies of the year, captivating, compelling, moving, and downright terrifying. I'm going to have trouble sleeping tonight because some of the imagery that I saw was quite horrific, but I loved every minute of it. Ladies and gentlemen, I also reviewed Bohemian Rhapsody this week. Go check that out. Next week we'll be back reviewing The Grinch, Beautiful Boy, and I think something else. But that's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jacob Tiranno, and please continue chasing cinema.